Did you say 3-1? Did you say 3 no 1?
That's what he
Wow.
said. Oh man.
That's a good start. Nice.
Hey everybody.
It's just like 3. No, hold on. 1, you're live. What? You just like juke me like that, man.
Jesse just juked us. Welcome everybody. It's Don't Worry Wednesday on Wednesday.
Hello.
The Wednesday edition.
The Wednesday edition of it. Sorry for our delay. You can blame it on me. I was sleeping and my alarm didn't go off. Luckily these guys texted me, so it sent me a bunch of messages and that woke me up. It was kind of like an alarm. It was like a delayed alarm.
Yeah, it was good. We figured, if we sent you enough messages, then maybe you would.
3 was all you needed.
A bunch would go through, and then sometimes, because a lot of times it takes more than just one ring to get me up in the morning, or if I'm taking a nap or whatever, sometimes. Yeah. So no, I totally get it. But anyway, but now we are here, and it's grand, and we're super excited to be here. Or at least I am. Ryan, how are you today?
I'm awesome. How are you doing? Excited to be here, right?
Yeah, I just
said that.
Yeah, I did. I am. That's great.
Clearly, that was that part was a habitual response. Me and my brother do this thing where, he'll be like, "How you doing?" And I'll be like, "Good. How you doing?" And he'll say, "Good. How you doing?" And I'll say, "Good. How you doing?" And we just go on for like an hour. And his wife just stares at us and just walks away because she understands, like, that's just our thing.
But she doesn't really understand.
Yeah, but at first she
kind of like, it's like, really? This is
guys,
not smart.
Please stop. It's not hurting anybody. We like it. Yeah. We're just reaffirming that we're doing good. It's being thankful. It's being, it's important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, yes. So this is Don't Worry Wednesday. You guys that have been here before, you know the drill. Those of you who are new, this is a show where we handle any questions, challenges, anything you might be going through. We just ask you to post it in the chat, or you can post it on the website. Princess posted the link. But here is another link. And we also, if you would like to remain anonymous and would not want to post it on the website or in the chat, we now have an email address that you can send it to, and it goes to a special email box where we will check it. So we'll see who you are, but we will maintain your anonymity. So that email address is dww@bss.studio. I don't know. Should I write it in the chat, Ryan? You think that'd be a good idea?
For the where to go to the website for the stream?
No, the email address.
Oh, the email address. Yeah, got it. Yeah, you can write that into the stream. That'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it right there. dww@bss.studio. DWW for Don't Worry Wednesday.
Do you want me to put that into the description box for people?
Sure, if you want.
Okay.
That would be fantastic. So
you're fantastic.
Well, sometimes. But yes, or you can direct message Princess on Discord. And so we're just trying to come up with new options, new ways for people, whatever is easiest for you guys to do in order to get whatever is challenging you onto the show. If you do send one to the email, we cannot necessarily guarantee we will handle it when you're here, because we won't know when you're here or not.
Since it's anonymous entirely and we have no idea, you'll just have to check the episodes. But
yep.
So we give the option.
It's cool. Yep. But it might be good. So at any rate, there is that. We are not professional therapists or counselors. We're just, we just want to pull up alongside you as a friend, offer some love and encouragement and some perspective, and help you in any way we can as you go through whatever challenge you might be handling. So we just love you guys a lot. We're so thankful that you're here and a part of the community. And yeah, it's just it's very humbling that you guys are here and listening to us, especially me. I try and listen to Ryan any chance I get.
Thanks, but I think that you have more better information than I do.
I don't know about that. I figure that the wisdom that comes from Ryan, even after he first wakes up, is amazingly brilliant.
Thanks for putting the ball high so I can drop it really, really far. That way I can drop the ball on that one.
You can drop the ball.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop the ball. It's gonna say all terrible things this time.
Oh,
Everything
great.
I say is gonna be bad. Don't pay attention to any of it.
Don't do that, man. Don't do that, because the thing
okay, that's not true. I'm just kidding.
Wait a minute, science.
I appreciate
try and listen to Joe every stream, but for some reason I always just get really stressed and anxious. I'm sorry, science. Maybe you shouldn't listen to me on every stream.
Oh man,
stressed and anxious. Dang. Oh, it's McGurney Luca's birthday. I had no idea.
Hey, happy birthday. Megurine, which is Vocaloid.
Yes, she is Vocaloid. She's the one with pink hair, right?
I think she's the one with green hair.
That was Hatsune Miku.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
No. Hatsune Miku has bluish green, mostly green, bluish green hair.
Long pink hair.
Mega, I don't know. Who's the one that has the green hair? Like the really, really green. Like obviously green. More green than Hatsune's.
Miku is teal.
Teal, yeah. See, there you go.
Luca has green hair. Miku has teal hair. Gumi is short green hair.
Gumi. So it's not Mugi, it's Gumi. Got it. That's what it was. Yeah. Gumi.
Luca has pink. That's what I thought, because I saw a duet with Luca and Miku, and that was pretty amazing.
You're better at the Vocaloid stuff than me, man. Check that out.
Dude, that is a total fluke right there.
Nice job, though. You still got it.
Hey, all
right.
It's just because you just woke up.
That's probably not true. I would have gotten it wrong either way. I want to be honest.
Nice. Well, awesome. Well, I tell you what, it's great to have all of you here, and we'll just jump right in. I see that Senna is here, and Senna, you had posted one a few weeks ago that we had not gotten to because you weren't here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, real quick, Kendra. Kendra, right? Let me double check.
Yes. Kendra's Corner.
I'm sorry that I didn't get back to you with the interview that you sent questions for. I will do that as soon as the stream is over, I promise. I've got a tab open for it. The funny thing is, I thought I replied to that. Apparently I didn't. And I reopened it up, and some of the words are there, but some of them aren't. So I'm just going to refinish typing what I was originally typing. And then press enter this time. My apologies, Kendra. But anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we're going to get started with a topic from Senna. I thought I replied, but I didn't. Ryan's life.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It was a dream. He was dreaming of you.
Dreaming, yes.
So there is a link to the topic, so you guys can all read along. And this is Senna about accepting generosity. And it goes something like this. Senna says, how do you go about accepting a generous offer or present out of the kindness of someone's heart? When you have anxiety about accepting or asking and about denying it, regardless of wanting the gift. I often try to phrase my reply to an offer or gift with, if you're willing, or something like that, but I'm still afraid it sounds rude. I'm afraid to accept or ask for it because I think I sound demanding, greedy, or selfish. And I'm afraid to try to even politely decline in an attempt to not sound like that because it can still come off as rude. That is a really, really good question.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, that is something, especially it just shows your heart. Like you you don't want to just take from people. You're more of a giving person. It totally shows. But yeah, absolutely, this can be a bit of a conundrum. So Ryan, since you just woke up, we're gonna let you
Awesome. Yeah.
go
Well,
and handle it.
so yeah, that's quite an interesting thing. And I think that's something a lot of us go through. The answer to this is kind of just remembering that you give things to people too. Um, and look at how they respond. They probably respond awkwardly as well most of the time, but every once in a while you probably give something to somebody and you don't notice it's weird. Look at maybe how they respond and try to do like they do. Um, you know, we all have gifts that we're sharing, and we're sharing our lives, we're sharing our existence, we're sharing our words, and relationships and many things with each other all the time. Our lives are a gift to each other, and inside of that, we also share a lot of things. So it's important to be able to accept the gifts and in the appropriate way. And so, what is gift accepting etiquette? That's kind of like what the question here is.
Mm-hmm.
What's the etiquette for accepting gifts? And you know, maybe everybody's different, but I think the best thing you can do is smile and then say thank you and tell them you appreciate it, and then just let it go. Because I understand that you might have that tendency to be like in the back of your head thinking about, man, I don't know how they like, I don't know if they could afford this gift, or that was really nice of them. I don't know, you know, I feel like I should give it back, or um, you know, things like that. Those things will go on in the back of your head. And you can say some of that out loud if you want, but you know, it doesn't really need to be said. It's best to just be thankful, you know, thankful for the gifts that you had. And sometimes, I mean, in certain circumstances, um, like if someone's giving you a payment, and you feel like the payment is too high, like let's say you go out and you shovel somebody's snow or something on their uh, driveway, and then they give you $100. I mean, you can deny that. You can be like, "Oh, that's too much," if you think so, you know. Um, but and they might return kindness to you for saying so, just by saying, you know, oh wow, well, thank you. I don't know what to do, but thank you. You know, they might really appreciate it because some people don't have that kind of money, you know, but they're trying to give you like way too much for a job, which is cool. But that's something, you know, I think a lot of us have experienced. Um, but yeah, it's okay in certain circumstances to deny a gift, but only when you think you're being paid for something more than what you ought. I think that's the only time that it's okay to deny a gift. Um, Otherwise, if they're giving you something and it's not a payment or anything, um, then sometimes you just have to learn how to just take it and just leave your thoughts to yourself. Because the most important thing to them is that they're giving you a gift, and showing that appreciation for the gift is going to mean a whole lot more to them than saying, "Oh no, I couldn't take it. You know, you keep it." Well, they went out of their way to give it to you. That isn't it kind of, yeah, just like you said, rude to be like, "No, you know, I don't want it. I know you like spent like 3 hours going to the mall and getting it, and I don't want it." You know, that'd be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know, I know you bought that because you thought of me when you got it. You know, or even if it's money, but regardless, yeah. It's definitely important to just be thankful, show your appreciation, show your affection, show your um, admiration. That's important. So just smile and say thank you. And I think that's the best you can do. Um, but how do you, I guess you asked another question here too. Um, oh, yeah. And then how do you not sound greedy or selfish? If
Mhm.
someone's giving you a gift, I mean, then I don't think you have to worry about looking greedy or selfish. One thing that you can do is give them a gift in return. I mean, that's not going to do you any harm. And that will, if you're worried about them thinking that you're greedy or selfish, getting them a gift in return, even if it's like, several months later or something, but I don't know. If you get them a gift in return, then that will do away with such a thing. Even if it's just something small, just something thoughtful, you know,
Mhm.
because, yeah. Um, But yeah, I think you can come off not greedy or selfish as long as you have the right attitude and you're focusing on them. When they give you a gift, your focus shouldn't be necessarily on you. It should be on them. And I think that's probably the main issue here. So uh, if you can receive a gift, direct your attention to them and not your inside, not what's going on inside of you, but just showing them love and appreciation, and that should get you through pretty good. Um,
Mhm.
and you can't really control what other people think, but I don't think anyone's going to give you a gift and be like, "Here, I made this for you," or whatever. Take it, and then you say, "Thank you so much. That's so cool. Wow, I appreciate that. Oh, whatever. It does this thing. That's so cool." You know, enjoy the gift and enjoy them as a person. I don't think anybody's going to turn around and go, "Wow, what a greedy person." They just accepted the gift I gave them, like, how selfish.
Right.
No one's gonna say that. They're gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, they really liked the gift. That's so cool." People love it when you love the gift they give you. Um, so just love on the people and appreciate the gift. I think that's really the best that you can do here. Um,
Mhm.
but anyhow, I'll turn it over to Joe. Maybe Joe's got a little bit more insight in this.
Well, I have a couple of stories. Before I get to
Good.
those, that was tremendous, and I really wanted to kind of emphasize the point of, like Ryan was just explaining, the transaction of a gift. There's a giver and a receiver, and as a receiver, you actually are giving that person the gift of being a giver, and you know how good that feels to be a giving person, to be a person who gives a gift. I mean, I love that feeling. I love to give presents, and it it's a chance to be thoughtful. It's a chance to try and come up with something, and to give something to somebody. But if they just reject my gift, then that shuts the whole transaction down.
Hmm.
And so by being a good receiver of gifts, you actually give somebody the opportunity to feel really good about themselves, uh, because you're letting them do that. Now, um, that and it took me a long time to learn that, and I think a lot of people struggle with that too. They love to give gifts, and sometimes they love to receive them, but they also don't want to feel like they're going to put somebody out. They don't want to feel like, you know somebody's going to do something. Maybe they're going to do something and you could never repay that. Maybe there's something like that in the back of your mind. But either way, like Ryan was talking about, if someone's gone and gotten something for you and given it to you, the absolute most tactful thing to do is to just accept the gift and say thank you, and tell them you appreciate it, and say it sincerely.
Yeah. And
um
you can use those thoughts too. Like, oh my gosh, I I don't know, like I can't even repay you at all, and they'll just be like, oh, you don't need to. Like it's a gift. So
mhm. Yep, absolutely. Because yeah, I mean, so just put yourself in the position of the giver, and imagine how you would want that person to accept your gift. And that will give you a lot of insight on how you should act when you're receiving a gift, because you're giving them that chance. So the first story I have is how to really not receive a gift. There was a time when I was in school, and we had in this classroom, we had kind of a secret Santa type of thing where everybody, you drew a name out of the hat, and that was the person you had to get gifts for. And it had to be kind of cheap gifts and stuff. Well, I got this gift, and since I didn't know who it was, I didn't care. And so I just made fun of the gift.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then, so that was totally the wrong thing to do. I hurt that person's feelings. And it was very interesting. Then the next gift, because it was going to be a series of like 4 gifts or something like that, small gifts. And on the next one, there was a note in there that said, "Hey, that was really rude. I could have got you nothing." And I'm like, oh man, my heart just sank. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was totally awful. Come to find out, this person, she who drew my name, and then I offended her deeply during that time. Now, years and years later, her son is in my son's classroom at school. And so I see her at school events and all that kind of stuff, and it's still weird. I don't know if that wound, it was just, so I just was a total jerk. So I can totally understand why that would be awkward. But at any rate, even though now it's 20 some years later, it's crazy. But wounds like that can strike deeply, and it can last. So definitely be very careful. And it's a good thing for you to ask about this, because you never want to make fun of a gift. You never want to ridicule the gift, and also to shove it back at somebody. That also is a very hurtful thing. Another thing, you mentioned something like, you phrase your reply with something like, "if you're willing," or something like that. And depending on the situation and who you're talking to, it might seem rude or it might not. I know there are people in my life when I'll try and do something nice for them. Like I'll buy their dinner, or we'll go out to eat, I'll buy their dinner. And their response is always the same. It's always, "Oh, you didn't have to do that."
Mm-hmm.
And they say it in a nice way, and I'm sure they're just being nice and stuff. And it's a humbling experience, and they're not necessarily all that great at receiving gifts. And even that little bit it just didn't quite feel right. I'm like, I'm trying to do something nice for you. Just say thank you, please. Just, And so, but I switched. I changed that. I made it. I kind of made it a funny thing now, where, because they still say it. I'll pay for their dinner or whatever. "Oh, Joe, you didn't have to do that." Like, "You're darn right, I didn't have to do that. So just say thank you."
Funny.
I wanted to do that. So just, yeah, you can get me. You can buy me dinner sometime. If you feel so inclined. But this one's on me. So, but it kind of makes it funny, because it's just like, "Yep, you're right, I didn't have to." And that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
A gift is something you choose to do. It's not something you are required to do. It's not something that you're compelled to do. It's just something you want to do. It's nice for another person.
Yeah.
And receiving a gift is to give another person the opportunity to be that person, of doing something nice for another person. And it just enables the whole world of giving. It kind of greases the skids of that whole world, and it just becomes, your relationship takes on a whole new dimension, because it's just an attitude of giving, rather than giving in response to like a transaction, if that makes sense. So
Yeah. I
or a
think
payment, like Ryan was talking about.
giving and receiving should come naturally to you, as that's kind of like, you have to do it. It's part of humanity, or else you die. Like, we grow up as children constantly receiving many things from our parents, especially food, we constantly are receiving oxygen in the air from the trees. We are constantly receiving water from the ground, all sorts of different things. And those are all gifts. And a lot of times we don't even think about it. We're constantly receiving things from all sorts of people, from all, people we've never met, working hard on an object that we happen to own, whether it be a clay cup that we use, drinking out of, or, a manufactured instrument, or whatever. We're constantly, the world runs on giving and receiving. And so without it, we'd be dead. It's important to maybe think about that when you receive another gift from somebody. It should be natural to, I'm not saying you shouldn't appreciate it because, oh, that's normal. We're constantly always giving gifts and so on and so forth, like to dumb it down. But rather, I mean to lift it up. Like that should be natural. That should be a thing that we're constantly doing. Everything we do for another person is a gift. It's an action that's a gift. Or the words that we share, those are gifts. And they come off naturally. I don't have to work really hard at trying to figure out, how I'm going to present my words to you just to make sure that they're the best gift ever. I'm not thinking of them as a gift, but they really are. It's really what they are. Because you didn't earn these words as payment for anything. I'm just choosing to speak to you, choosing to have a relationship with you, choosing all sorts of things along those lines. So just constantly just appreciate those type of things, and just say thank you. The smile. I think that's, yeah. Yeah. It's kind of interesting.
Yep. That's a really good point. Yeah. To be in the state of receiving. Right. Because everything comes our way like that. There's so much we just get and we take for granted, but we're always constantly receiving. And yeah.
Which we should be thankful for. I mean, that's so cool.
Sometimes I've heard people say, treat your profession or whatever project you're working on as if it's your gift to the world. I've heard people saying that, and when you put it in that light, whatever you're working on becomes that much more fulfilling and that much more fun and easy to do, because what you're doing is now you've turned it into, rather than just being a job or a task that you've got to do in order to make money or to survive or whatever. You're doing it as a gift to the world, and you're giving it as a gift, and it's so much more fulfilling that way. I'm sure, as you would realize, Senna, because you're such a giving person anyway, and that fills you, I'm sure, with great feelings to give. And so that's one thing that I had heard that goes along with this really well, I think, is that give whatever it is. Anyway, thank you, Senna, for that topic. That was good. Ryan, did you have anything else you wanted to mention on that?
Nope. That about covers it. As far as I can, think of. Hopefully that'll help you. It's kind of like your own struggle that you have to go through, figuring out what's the correct response. What words do I need to start using? What kind of attitude can I have? It's kind of something you have to explore. So whenever you receive a gift next, just try, formulate in your head, how do I want to respond to this? And then try it. So yeah, good luck on that. And we love you. And you're amazing, Senna.
Yeah. Yes. Harold, hello. Yes, we went deep. I have not seen your name here before. Have I just missed it, or?
Harold Winson. I like that name.
Welcome.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, thanks again, Senna. And moving on, our next one in line on the website is from Kendra.
Aha.
And it's about a family distance relationship. Oh, by the way, Cherry, I saw that you were here. I got to read through the one that you posted on the Don't Worry Wednesday area that was quite long. It would be a bit too long to read on the show, I think. It was
Is this?
It was pretty big. It's in the it's not in the questions topics from live stream. It's in the Don't Worry Wednesday main area.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And yes.
Oh, Fate and Malice. Got it.
Fate and Malice, yes.
Gotcha.
If there was a way, if there was a certain question you wanted us to get at in that, feel free to post it, and then we'd love to talk about it.
And the other thing you can do, Cherry, is post them in sections. So like one week we'll do like one, and then another week we'll do another part of it. You know, I mean, we've done a couple of things like that for people so far, where they just kind of give us updates, and then we talk about the update of their story that's actually happening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's totally fine too, if you want us to just touch on one part of the topic at a time.
Yeah, but it was great to read the whole backstory on what you're going through, and it's definitely something, you know, a lot of that would be great discussion for this show. So yeah, if you can kind of distill it down to a question or a few questions, we'd absolutely love to go through that, because it's good. But at any rate, so now moving on, I know Kendra is here, and she has a topic about family distance relationship. And I'm going to post a link to that.
Okay.
So then people can read along if they would like to.
Georgia.
I love hearing you sing, Ryan.
Thank you. I love hearing you sing. Actually, by the way, guys, Joe is actually a really good singer. You are.
Once in a while. It depends on which day it is.
It depends on if I'm singing or not. Once in a while.
Generally, if I'm singing, it's not that great. If I'm not singing, it's awesome.
Oh, that's backwards. That's the opposite of what I was thinking. I like it. I like the sound when you sing, when you actually sing.
Oh, you do? Oh,
you know, it's fun though.
Thank you.
Fun when you sing wrong on purpose. Like you have a song and you just like go out of your way to make it sound terrible with a group of friends. You know, you're all just singing it and purposely getting every note wrong. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Different kind of way.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you guys for the kind words. We have performed together on songs before. That was a long time ago. I don't think we've actually sung together.
We haven't done that in a long time. Technically, we kind of just did it a little bit with episode 10 of Criminal Idol.
That you guys haven't heard yet.
Because Joe helped me with some of the lyrics and he sang them for me. And so I'm going to use them. But I probably won't be.
You're going to sing them.
Yeah, because But anyhow, I re-sang his parts that he sang. I debated leaving his parts in there. I might, as like.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
It sounds so good though, man.
Well, at any rate, thank you. But yes, from Kendra, we have a topic about family distance relationships. And it goes like this. I have a boyfriend, and he is currently living in Georgia with his parents, saving up money to come and live in my state of North Dakota. I met him almost 5 years ago on this website called Quotev. And when I started talking to him, I thought that he was a girl. We laugh about this whenever we bring up how we met. We became friends on Facebook and talked more and more, and soon we started to date. We talk over Skype and text and call when we had the chance. My family knows about him and where he lives, but they don't know we are dating.
No, they probably know.
My
Go on.
My family doesn't necessarily like long distance relationships because they believe they don't last long and that it really isn't dating. I think that my mom knows there is something going on between me and my boyfriend, and I think she is okay with it. If my dad were to find out, well, that would be a different story because I'm still his little girl. He worries about me, especially with all that has been going on with the internet. I've had relatives ask me if I'm in a relationship, and well, every time they ask, I lie and say that I am not, and it hurts. Caleb and I did agree, though, that we wouldn't tell anyone we were dating until we meet in person. I'm starting to wonder if I should just tell my family I am dating, but I'm also scared that they will say that I shouldn't be dating him until we actually meet or that I should break up with him just because he is so far from me. I love him so much. He brings out a part of me that doesn't come out often, a part that I usually will fake with others. What should I do? And that's from Kendra. Incidentally, Kendra, yes, your mom probably knows something's going on. Moms just have a way of knowing what's going on with their kids.
Yeah.
My mom was that way, and my wife is that way with our kids. Like, there's no getting something past mom because there's just some intuition going on there that's amazing.
Yeah, you can tell, like, if your mom walks by the computer one too many times and sees you smiling, yeah, she knows something's going on. That's just the way it is. Your dad might not know, but your mom probably does. Which is cool. Or unless your dad is really perceptive. And, I had a girlfriend, and she didn't tell her dad, but her dad was the first one to find out. Just because he was really perceptive and he watched her, just her attitude when she was on the computer. And so then he looked at the screen a few times and he was like, oh, okay, yeah, she likes him. And then after a few months, he's like, they're probably dating. So her dad was the first one to find out, first one to know. But anyhow, yeah, that's neither here nor there. This is a great question. I love this question, Kendra, because in this world we live in today, relationships have gone awry, if you will. They are totally not like, I mean, you get people going like, I have a boyfriend, kinda, and then you're like, what do you mean kinda? And they're like, well, we have a thing. What do you mean a thing? Well, we're not dating, but we're like kind of like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't said anything. He hasn't said we're dating yet, but it's kind of like we're dating, but we're not dating. It's just a thing. And it's like, what? Or you ask somebody, do you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend? And they're like, oh, it's complicated. That's not a good answer. That's terrible. It's like, it should be, plain and simple, yes or no, right? But relationships are interesting things. They're not just one, they're not just switches. It's either this, or this. A lot of times, relationships are complex things in themselves. And so when you try to define a relationship, that becomes difficult. So one thing I heard someone say in a talk once was, define the relationship. If you have a person, this was towards the guys. It was like a men's talk, but it could apply for women's too. But they were asking the men to step up and define the relationship, because if you don't, then it makes it really hard on the women, because the women want to know, are we dating or are we not? What's going on in our relationship? Like, am I supposed to be, I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this scenario, because I don't know if you like me or not. And, it becomes really weird. And so they were saying, men, just step up and define the relationship. Tell her, we're dating, or I would like to be your boyfriend, or, something along those lines. I think that's important.
But not to be domineering about it and say like, hey, we're dating. She always has the option
Yeah, she does have the option, which is good.
And you need to
I'm glad.
respect that option.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, we're dating. No, we're not. Yes. Yes, we are. Okay. No, we're not though. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're dating, and I'll see you next Tuesday. We're gonna go out to eat a nice breakfast. I don't think so. No. Yeah. Anyways.
Perfect, princess. That's perfect. Commit or don't, but don't leave it gray. Yes.
Yes, exactly. You want to that's perfect. That's exactly right. You want to commit or just not. It's important because maybe it's just a friendship, right? You know, but either way, you want to commit to what it is. But in current Kendra's question, she wasn't really talking about that. She knows that this person that they're dating, but because of the distance, it makes it strange. It makes it different because a lot of times, you know, we think about dating and like, okay, let's go on a date, right? And so you go do something together, like go out to a movie or go out to a dinner or whatever it is, go to an arcade, and you guys are going to a date, going out on a date. But on the internet, obviously, you can't do those things. But you can obviously still spend time together. You can have miniature dates that are just within the realm of the internet, whether that be playing a game together or just chatting over whatever you chat on, Discord or Skype or whatever, Facebook. But yeah, I mean, it's really the same thing. You're devoting time to another person. But if you don't want to really finalize that until you guys meet up, that's not a bad decision. I think that's a good decision. And I respect that. There are a lot of situations, a lot of times when, you know, you have a romantic interest in somebody, but then when you meet up for the first time, it's different than you thought. Maybe you just don't feel connected to them like you thought you would. And that happens a lot, and that's okay. But it does happen. So I think that it's not unwise to want to meet up with a person. It also helps because the way that we hold ourselves says a lot about who we are. When we're around somebody physically, it's a different feeling than when we're around them online. And so if the ultimate goal is to be with each other physically, I think reaching that step is a good idea. I would not disapprove of your idea here, of your plan. I think that your plan makes sense. There's nothing wrong with it. However, when it comes to the lying part, that does make it hard. I would say either A, change your relationship, and which I would you're not going to do this one. It would be a bad idea. But either A, change your relationship so that your guys are not dating and stay true to your commitment and say, we'll call ourselves dating when we meet in person. Until then, we're not dating. And I don't think that's the right action here because you've already made that commitment. If you've already made that commitment, whether you guys are distant or not, that commitment's the commitment. And that should never change. Right? If you tell somebody, hey, I'm going to marry you, right? But then all of a sudden, you know, you get a job and you can't see them as often. Does that mean you're not going to marry them anymore? No, of course you still are. That was that's just your current situation. You just can't see them as much as you used to. Or, you know, like you get drafted into the army and you move off to, you know, a war and you come back, you know. Does that mean, like, let's say you get married, you know, or, you know, you make that kind of commitment, you go off to war and you come back, they wouldn't say, oh, sorry, I already married this other guy. Since you left for so long, I expected that, you know, our marriage was dissolved. It's like, no, that's not the way it works. A commitment is a commitment. You know, you define what your commitment is and you stick to it. That's the main point. It's not about the distance. It's not about whatever is going on in life. We have all sorts of different ups and downs throughout life. You know, it's like I ate peanut butter the other day and there was a actual peanut in it, and that now we're not dating anymore. Like, that's whatever goes on in life. It doesn't change your commitment. You've made a commitment and you should stick to it. Now, obviously, because it's just courting, if you will, and that's kind of the term I'd like to use here, to court somebody, because or date somebody, I suppose. But dating implies that you guys are going out on a date. Courting implies that you guys have committed to something. And that's why I would prefer using the word courting, because you are choosing one person that you are interested in, romantically interested in. So anyhow, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't let whatever goes on in life. But the thing is, like, it's just courting. It's not marriage yet. So you can back out at any time, right? If you eat a bad peanut butter jelly sandwich or something, you can back out of your relationship because you're not married yet, right? Although that would be a weird reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not dating anymore. No. Oh, what happened? Oh, I ate a bad peanut butter jelly sandwich. To tell you what. What? Yeah, he didn't make it. Don't worry. I made it myself, but it was just bad. So I broke up my relationship. Anyways, no. I would say it is what it is. And I think it's important to tell the truth, because if you're at conflict with yourself about, it's something, but then you tell other people it's something else, that destroys you inside. It makes you feel weird.
Yes.
We as human beings naturally have a very difficult time when we are not being truthful, when we're not at when we're at odds with ourselves. It becomes difficult. He said he makes you so happy even if he's far away. Yep. I'm more worried about my dad and grandma. What my dad and grandma would say. Here's the thing. Ultimately, they're just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich waiting to happen. It doesn't matter what they say, does it? It doesn't. You are in college, right? I believe, Kendra, or maybe in high school. I don't know. Pretty sure Kendra is in college. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, because she had tested for a school, something, and she hadn't gotten in at that point.
Yeah.
So I think at the college level.
Okay. She's at that age. So at this point, at this age in life, I mean, you get to decide your relationships. Yes, in college. Okay. I mean, you get to decide your relationships, and you're the one that's responsible for it. Your parents are no longer responsible for you at this point, right? If you make a mistake, you're the one that has to accept that that's your fault. If you do something illegal, you're the one that has to end up in jail. Not, your parents don't get reprimanded for it anymore. I mean, legally speaking, and within the confines of our culture, you're not in your parents' responsibility anymore. It doesn't matter what they think now. It does. Okay, it matters what they think. But what matters more is that you tell the truth than for them to just look at you. Because ultimately, all you're doing here is trying to make sure that they don't think bad things about you, or you don't cause any problems. But if telling the truth causes problems, then it causes problems, and that's okay. I don't think they might be unhappy with you, but that's not gonna, gonna be forever. That's just gonna be how it is for a moment. And your relationship will grow beyond that. In fact, a lot of times causing issues in relationships, not on purpose, but when issues arise, it gives you a chance to increase the relationship with that person, because then you go through a struggle with them. And then once you get on the other side, you have a deeper, more strengthened connection or bond with that person. So I would encourage you to take route B instead of route A. A was just stop being their girlfriend and make that part true. I would take route B, and that is keep the relationship and let your dad know, and just accept whatever he says. He might be upset, he might not be, right? You might be surprised, and your dad might be totally like, oh, cool, awesome, sounds great. Because here's the cool thing about a relationship that's online is that it's technically safe until you meet up, because they can't really do anything to you physically on the internet, which is awesome. So, right?
That's true statement.
That's how it is, and that's cool. And we have a lot better ways of figuring out, if the person is really who they say they are or not now. I mean, we can do face cams and stuff like that before you meet with them, so on. So that's not something that we have to worry about so much in our culture anymore. With people saying, oh, I'm this kind of person, and then all of a sudden they show up at your house and they're totally not the person they said they were, We don't have to worry about that too much. So anyways, ultimately, yeah, I would just let them know, relationships are important. And if you have a struggle with family relationship because of a long distance relationship, I think then you just need to talk to your family about the long distance relationship. But again, everyone's going to have their opinion. Everyone's going to be thinking their own thing, right? But those thoughts don't define the relationship that you actually have with that person. Your family, your dad, or your grandma or whatever might think, oh, that's terrible, she shouldn't be doing this, blah, 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 right? But that's their opinion. That thought doesn't change your actual relationship with this man, right? And so it's okay to let them know and for them to freak out. But you might be surprised that they don't. They might not even freak out at all. They might just be like, oh, cool, interesting. How does that work? Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of like what I have to say. I would just let them know. And that'll ease the pain in your heart for, lying to him or whatever. Because, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because sometimes even when you look at the situation, this is a perfect time to go in your mind to the spot of, okay, what's the worst possible scenario? If you tell them what's the worst thing that they're going to do or say, and then think about that, and then come to grips with that and say, all right, so now if that happens, how am I going to respond productively? So in the face of that, how are you going to respond that's moving forward and productive and all that stuff? So then what's happened now is you're prepared for that worst possibility. And if you're prepared, you don't have it really, really takes a lot of the fear out of it. And that seems to be the challenge that you're dealing with right now, is just the fear of the unknown, because you have a feeling of what's going to happen. You kind of, based on what you know about your dad and your grandma, it seems like they would respond in a negative way toward this, but you don't really know for sure. It just seems like it's probably the case that they're going to react that way. So if they do, if it was to all come out and they were to respond the way you expect them to, how would you respond to them acting that way?
That's a good question.
So, and then when you come to terms with that, now you have a plan, and now you're prepared for that experience. So it, like I said before, it'll take the fear out of that. A lot of times we sit there and we're afraid. We're afraid up to the point of the event actually happening. We lose sleep over stuff for weeks, months, maybe, and we're thinking about this thing, we're thinking about it, and we're scared about it. And then all the way up to the actual moment that it's going to happen. And it just keeps getting more and more tense and more and more tense. And then all of a sudden, boom, we're right in the middle of it. And it's not nearly as bad as we thought. every time I've had a scenario that I was super afraid of, and then I got into the situation, it always turns out to not be as bad as I thought. I'm like, oh, I survived that. That wasn't all that big a deal. Yeah, somebody got mad. Yeah, somebody got whatever. And they gave me a tongue lashing for a while. They yelled at me, said some choice words, whatever. But I'm still alive. And now it's out in the clear, and I don't have it binding me up anymore. Like what Ryan was talking about. The situation of anytime they ask and you lie and say you're not in the relationship, that hurts. Yes, that hurts. It's your conscience talking to you. It's like, you're not being 100% true, and it's putting like this pressure, it's tearing you apart a little bit inside, because you kind of have two lives. And the more you can bring your life and your two lives that you have, the more you can bring those into one, the more at peace you will feel, even in the midst of whatever is going on with other people. So I definitely agree with Ryan. It's definitely the best to be honest. There are ways to be tactful about it. And something here tells me that maybe, since it's strictly an internet relationship right now, your dad, your grandma, other people might not even consider it to be dating. So they might not even consider that dating. They may come back with something where they're like, oh, well, you tell me you're dating, but you've never met this person. That's not really dating. And maybe that's the thing. So there may just be a definition of terms conflict going on with that. But one thing that I learned is that it's not your job to make other people happy. I spent so much time in my life concerned about whether or not I was going to disappoint someone or let someone down, whether it was my parents or my friends or my wife or my kids or whoever. I was always so concerned, like, I'm not going to live up to the standard that they are thinking I should be at, or I'm not going to live up to whatever I think I should be at in their eyes, or however that is the case. And I dealt with this in the middle of one of the biggest nervous breakdown times of my life. And I remember my therapist telling me that. He's like, you weren't put on this earth to make other people happy. That's their job. Being happy is their job, and it's their choice. So if the more time I spent worrying about disappointing others, it was just wasted time. Because there's nothing I can do to make someone happy or unhappy. They might get upset about something I do, whatever, but that's something they have to deal with. Mm-hmm. And I remember a boss of mine, I remember telling this to a coworker. He was like, oh man, I'm so nervous about making my boss upset and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, don't worry about it. She needs the exercise, like the mental exercise of being upset and getting over it and going through it and all that, like sometimes that's an opportunity for someone to learn and grow up a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that your dad and grandma are immature people. I'm not saying that at all. Don't get me wrong, because I'm sure there's much wisdom, and I'm sure that there is, they may have a concern about this situation because it's unknown to them. That this whole dynamic is so foreign to them that it just doesn't make any sense. And so because they don't understand, it makes them nervous. And so if you can look at it from their perspective and say, okay, they have a more traditional mindset when it comes to relationships. They didn't grow up in a time where internet relationships were normal. Mm-hmm. This is normal.
Yeah, this is normal now. It's pretty much been around for many years now. I grew up.
Yep. Kendra says, I've had that worry about disappointing my family. I'm glad you brought that up. It's really helping me. Well, I'm glad, because that was one thing, I had to counsel that to a friend of mine as he was going through some marriage struggles. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm just so worried about my wife falling out of love with me or something. And I'm like, it's not your job to keep her loving you. Her loving you is her decision. Her being happy with you is her decision. Her being unhappy with you is her decision. Your job is to do what's right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a tough one, because sometimes we go through our lives and we're trying to make other people happy. We try to do things to fulfill other people. And it's not a bad thing to be giving. It's not a bad thing to be compassionate. It's not a bad thing to, try and do things that are going to uplift the hearts of other people. But we should always be doing what's right. And there are many times I can think of in my life, in my marriage, in my relationships with other people, and all of that stuff, that there have been times when the right thing made that other person really upset. But you know what? It was still the right thing to do. And truth is truth, whether I believe it is or not. And that goes for all of us. Mm-hmm. The truth is the truth, whether I believe it or not. And for me to do what's right and to offend that other person, yeah, it was a trial. Yes, it was a struggle. Yes, it was a time of pain, but it was also a time of growth, because it was facing the truth. It was facing what was right. It was standing for the right. And you can do it in a compassionate way. You can do it in a loving way. You don't have to be like hard line, just I'm standing for what's right and it's in opposition to you. It doesn't always have to be a one versus another person. It can be something like, hey, these are the facts. I love you. And I also am in this relationship. This could be you talking to your grandma or your dad about this situation. It sounds to me from what you posted that your mom would probably be the best one to approach first. She might be able to smooth things out a little bit on your approach to your dad and your grandma, possibly. So it might be good to confide in your mom first with this, and then, and then kind of move along from there. But whatever you do, however you bring it to them, however you bring this information, wrap a bunch of love and caring around it. Make sure that they know that you love them and respect them and honor them. But you have feelings for this guy, that they know who he is. They know who he is. They know where he is and all that. So they know who this person is, which is great. And you can talk about, hey, I really have strong feelings for this guy, and he has strong feelings for me. And, he's planning on coming to, he's going to come and live here with us. And, yeah. Oh, Epsilon. Hey, Static and CDV. Is there any way I can be more supportive for her during this scenario? Epsilon, are you this person that's dating Kendra? Clearly you have some kind of a relationship.
Yeah, because there seemed to be something.
Yes. Okay, cool. Well, welcome, Epsilon. It's great to have you here. And any way you can be more supportive. Yes, there is. And that would be to love her. Like you already are, and be patient, because this can be tough to navigate. This might take time. It's right to stand for what's right, and it's right to be honest, but you don't have to go all the way all at once. You can take your time and move in a step-by-step fashion and kind of break down the barriers one at a time. It doesn't have to be all at once. You don't have to just like ram through the whole thing. That is usually my biggest mistake. I would figure it all out in my head, and I would go step by step all in my head. and I would think through everything and finally come to the conclusion. And then I wouldn't give anyone else the opportunity to go step by step through that same process I went through. I would just ram right through to the conclusion and put it in their face. And naturally, their response was like, whoa, what? Surprise, shock, many times anger, frustration, because it was my fault because I didn't take my time and go through it in a loving way. So yes, Epsilon, love and patience as this happens, and that would be some great stuff. And Ryan sounded like he had some things that came to his mind too.
I just thought of something. Get your parents involved in your relationship. That's probably the best thing you can do. And so Kendra, get your parents involved with the relationship, and Epsilon, yeah, just allow that to happen. How do I mean? Yes, talk to them like, oh my gosh, I like this guy. We did this together. You could talk to your mom about that, different things like that. She'll relay that to your dad, and it'll just be like little things. And then all of a sudden, someday they'll find out you're dating, or they'll gather that just from, conversation. It's like, I was hanging out with him that day and we did this, sharing those experiences with your parents about the things that you guys are doing together that you enjoy. That's cool, right? That's slightly getting them involved. But another thing you can do is have a non-private conversation where they can hear you and you're okay with that. Like, for example, you're on the phone, you put it on speakerphone, and you're just having a conversation in the room and they happen to be there. Things like that, get them to come to feel comfortable with the person. One thing that I had at my advantage when I wasn't doing, when I had my relationship, with my first online relationship, was that my mom knew about it because, she could see what was going on, and well, not all the time, she wasn't always there. We had private conversations most of the time, but every once in a while, mom would be like, who are you talking to? And I said, oh, I'm just talking to this person. She's like, oh, okay. Tell him I said hi, and that's how it started. Right. And then later it was, my mom was asking me, do you like her? And, I was like, yeah, we're kind of like dating. And she's like, oh my gosh, freaking out. Right. Well, then it was important that she already knew the person because we had been talking. I had talked about her quite a bit, but then also there had been times where she was like, can I talk to her? And that helped because if you can allow your parents to talk to this other person, right? I remember my mom sat down at the computer and talked to her for like 2 minutes, or one peck at a time, finger typing. Now this is before you could do things like voice chat. Everything was on just typing, and so it was different. But now you can just literally talk out loud with them in the room, and that will make it way more easier on them, because what that does is it solidifies you as a real person, not just some scary unknown. All of a sudden their minds shift and go, wait, I know this person. I've heard them talk, or I've seen them, and I've even had a conversation with them while it was short. That changes something in our brain. It makes it flick a switch and say, human being. Oh my gosh, that person's a human being, like a real person, rather than just some scary abstract idea. So you can help solidify your relationship again by finding ways to include your parents inside of that relationship. But anyhow, you can find many ways to do that. Just talking about the person, or again, having a conversation, or even allowing them to have a conversation. Like, hey, you want to talk to them? Or if you can come up with something like, hey, Epsilon wants to talk to you guys about something. he was thinking about like coming over, but he kind of wanted, your permission or something. You could do that and just have them, respond. Um, or you can have like them have a phone call with you or with Epsilon here or whatever, something along those lines. Does that make sense? Like, hey, he wants to come over, but he wanted to ask you guys, is that cool? And then you just call him on the phone, put it on speakerphone, and then Epsilon can be like, hey, I just, I've known this girl for a long time. Do you mind if I come over, whatever, blah, 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 that sort of thing. That'll make it easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Epsilon, yeah, sorry you got to go to work, but yeah, thanks for popping in. That really helped with this situation that you were here. So that's awesome. I did want to address one thing Kendra said up above. She says, my grandma is a very worrying person. She constantly is worrying about everyone and making sure everyone is at their best. She's the queen bee in the family. Yes, I have definitely dealt with people like that before, and it can be difficult, for sure. The thing to remember, though, is the reason somebody's like that is because they love you. And they may not necessarily know how to be gentle with their love all the time. Sometimes they may be a pretty strong personality that even though they love you and care about you and think the world of you, they may not necessarily approach how they show that with a lot of tact. Might be kind of rough around the edges, might be kind of forceful and or what's the word? They might be set in their ways, possibly as well. And the crazy thing for people like that is it's the answer is the same, and that would be, love that person. And if you are a praying person, pray for that person. That would be a very helpful thing to do, because worrying is simply the misuse of our imagination. And if she is worrying and stressing out about other people a lot, she's misusing her imagination a lot. And that's it. And it's sad. I mean, it's from your perspective, it's really difficult to take a look at that, because since you're the object of her worry and possible frustration, you kind of feel that pressure of being in that position. And so it's kind of hard to separate yourself. But if you can, separate yourself and understand that she's a human being. She once was a little girl that was trying to sort out her feelings. She went through a lot of the same types of stuff that we've all been through too. And because of that, however she got to this point where she's spending this much time worrying and being concerned with everyone, something may have happened in her life that kind of sparked that. And what you can do is just surround her with love. Anytime you talk to her or see her, smile and just say in your head, I love you, 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 I love you. And seriously, that helps, because then it comes through your eyes and it comes through your face and your smile, and it comes through all of your body language. Mm-hmm. And she will pick up on that. And at a subconscious level, and it will smooth things out a little bit. But then just make sure that she knows you love her. Make sure that if you're a praying person, pray for her, because that to be in the position she's in is very stressful.
Yes.
She's putting herself under a lot of stress. Yeah. By worrying this much. And so you might have to treat her a little bit lightly. You might have to be gentle, because she's very stressed and wound up if she's worrying this much about other people. And that can be a tough person to deal with sometimes, but it's because inside they are feeling that stress. And also, I see the thing about you've had relatives ask if they're in a relationship and you lie. And one of the things to remember also, I don't know if people just come and ask out of the blue, but sometimes our lives are our business. And sometimes parts of our lives are nobody else's business at certain points in time. And so it's not, you don't necessarily have to divulge everything about your life to everyone or to your family members or to whoever, you know, because sometimes we all have stuff that we keep personal and private, and you kind of get to decide that. So definitely don't freak out about it, and you can take it step by step and work through this situation. But you know, you got a tremendous heart, Kendra. I'm so glad that you've come around and you've been active at BSS.studio, and I love your contributions. And it was great to meet Epsilon tonight, and hope to see you guys much more in the future. So good luck with all this, and just be patient and make sure whatever you're doing, you fill yourselves with love for the people involved, and that will help so much. So thank you again, Kendra. But anyway, yeah, that was fantastic. That was a great topic. So thank you for posting. Let's see.
Cool.
So Cherry says she's started to put things on here. Oh, Kendra, you're absolutely welcome. More than welcome. And let's see. I want to check here. Okay. Cherry did put one in Don't Worry Wednesday. Fate and Malice. Okay.
We've got stuff from Science and Amira as well.
Do we? Okay. And Cherry posted hers, her original one she posted on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so Science and Amira both were in line first. So we've got now Amira. Are we talking about the Love Trouble one from January 18th?
No.
I don't think so. Okay, no, that one we already. I think
it was Friday. Princess posted it. Amira, love backstory. Do I let her go?
Okay, cool. And then we have Science also, tips for beginning to write music.
That's right.
So if we're going in order by posting time, Science would come first. Oh, Princess, thank you for moving that to posts. Everybody thank Princess. She does such a great job.
We love her.
Of kind of keeping things organized for us from the chat to the website and everything. And also keeping us on track. So Science says, I can wait. People problems are more important than music writing. Oh, LOL. Okay. So, all right. So we can start with the love backstory.
Okay. There happens to be a video posted with it.
It's the song by No Doubt, Don't Speak.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe. Hold on. I'll play it in my ears.
Man, you're just too young. You don't know these things. Don't speak. I know just what you're
Oh,
saying.
okay, yeah. I know that song. I remember hearing that song when I was little. That's 90s, man.
When you were little.
Yep.
Man, I was old.
You're already old. Well, you were 29 since you've been like in 5th grade or whatever. So,
I know.
and then
I
you've
know.
been 29 for a very long time.
I know. But basically, the song was just there because she feels like the song describes what she's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a bit of a long one, so we can read through it though for sure. And oh, Jesse needs a link. Uh-huh.
Thanks for being on top of that.
Oops.
Please see.
So here's the link.
Interesting. Okay.
For Amira, the love backstory. Alrighty. So Amira, thank you for posting, by the way. It's wonderful to have you here. And this is Amira's post.
All right.
It's titled Love Backstory, Do I Let Her Go? We met about 5 months ago at work. Before we had even started talking, I had a mini crush on her because I thought she was a cute guy. Keep in mind, we had never talked at this point, so we didn't know each other at all. I just thought she was cute and I wanted to talk to her, but I was too shy and insecure, so I never got the courage. One day, all of the employees stayed after hours to fool around because I guess we felt like it. When it was almost time for us to go home, I was venting to my supervisor about having to take 2 buses to get home late at night on a Sunday. So this girl offered to take me home. I was hesitant to take the offer for 2 reasons. One, I didn't know her at all, and 2, I still thought she was a guy and I got flustered at the idea. I ended up taking it because I would have taken forever to get home. Or it would have taken forever to get home. So while we were walking to her car, she told me she was trans. At that moment, I lost all interest in her, but she was still a joy to talk to. The next day, she asked me to go to an event with her. This was kind of a shock because I expected her to never talk to me again after that. I don't know why I did this, but I jokingly asked if she was asking me out. Now that I think about it, she looked kind of flustered when I said that. But I did say yes, and from that point on, we've been friends ever since. When we started to get close, I was venting about guys not liking me or something, and she told me that she liked me. Me being straight, I didn't feel the same way about her, and I thought I never would. About 2 months later, I started to develop feelings for her that would only grow with time. Eventually, I burst and confessed to her, but we ultimately decided not to date. For a while, even though we had feelings for each other, our friendship continued as normal. We hung out when we had the chance, cuddled, and held hands. That is, until recently. Lately, things between us have been weird, and she seemed kind of distant. I'm not sure why, and I'm too afraid to ask. I still love her, but I don't know if she still feels the same anymore. We still talk and hang out, but now it feels really awkward, and I'm not sure what to do about it. She used to tell me she loves me all the time, but now I never hear those words. I love her so much, and I don't think I've ever felt so strongly about anyone before. I guess bonds build quick when you fall asleep on someone's lap after knowing them for about a week, and they're okay with it. Do I talk to her, continue to act like nothing's wrong, or let her go? Someone tell me what to do. And then we have the song reference. Amira says, sorry, it's so long. No problem, Amira. That's not too long.
Okay. I think I get it. Yeah, this makes sense.
And thank you for this story because it definitely helps to put things into perspective.
Yeah, it really does. Thank you for sharing this. I like how you added that bit at the end. I guess bonds build quick when you fall asleep on someone's lap after knowing them for about a week. And they're okay with that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, our experiences shape our mind. And sometimes just having a light experience, a lighthearted experience or whatever, can get us going for months and months and months, even years, just shaping how we feel about a certain person or scenario. Like, this is kind of weird. I don't know why I came up with this example, but like, if you've ever gotten sick if you've ever eaten some food and gotten sick and then just like threw it up over and over, you might go like, ew, I hate that, whatever it is. It's so gross, because every time you eat it, you think of something really gross, you know? And so then you say you don't like that food anymore. Well, the truth is the food didn't change. It's just that your perception of it did because of an experience. And that's really how our relations are. A lot of times we want to get them to the point where it's not based off of that. And that's ultimately the goal, right? We want to be able to love unconditionally, not love because of the conditions that happened. Right? That's the stretch goal, but it's hard. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. I think here's what it seems to be. I really appreciate that you shared this story in its full, because I can see now, based on the discussions that we've had before, what's happened is very, very, very natural. It seems to me as though she has, to some degree, quote, fallen out of love with you, which is totally okay. That's totally normal. It seems to me that perhaps her feelings have faded, and it's not because of something you did. I think that's important to understand. It's not because you did something.
Yes.
It's just because emotions only last for so long, and they want to stay true to what they were, what they were, what they were saying. If they don't want a relationship, if you guys have agreed to not have a relationship, well, then doing those things that a relationship wouldn't, like cuddling and so on, holding hands, doing those things might actually just make it harder and eventually become distasteful, because you know that it's in vain. You know that it won't result in a relationship, leading to no future, other than a dead end when the other person finally finds somebody else. And that can be disheartening on your emotions, and eventually just leads you to go, okay, you know what? Let's not. I won't say I love you anymore, because it's not necessary, and that's not making things better. You know. And so it seems to me like, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It might feel hard. It might feel not good because it hurts, but it is a good thing. You said we hung out on Friday and I talked to her about how I felt, but I couldn't. One of two things kept happening. I either kept complaining about something unrelated, or I froze and lost my voice. Yeah, that sounds difficult. Thanks, phone. R44Q2QL.
I was wondering about that. I was
Yeah.
like, is that a reference to something? Something in the Book of Joe?
That's funny. Yeah. No, I don't think that's a reference. Anyhow. Yeah, I can understand the difficulty of trying to talk about those things. And some things you don't need to talk about. Some things you just let fade. If it seems to me, here's I'll share with you, since I've been talking about her a couple times now already. The relationship I had with my first girlfriend online, it lasted 4.5 years. It's a long time. From when I was 14 until I was 18. We eventually, what happened was I went to go see her. And then I came back home and she dumped me 2 weeks later. So she lived in Canada, I lived in America, and I drove out to Canada to go see her, blah, blah, blah. I had known for quite a while that she had been becoming more and more distant. Rather, she was putting less effort into the relationship. She was still saying I love you and things like that at the time, but she wasn't going out of her way to meet me or try to talk to me or try to continue the conversation. Sometimes we'd have a conversation and it was just short replies, and it's like she wasn't paying attention. And that had been going on for many months. And so I, just continued to do my best to keep the relationship healthy by, talking to her as much as possible and so on. But you know, I didn't feel like anything was wrong necessarily back then, but just that they were different. And that's okay. It's okay for things to be different. But when I finally went to go see her and then came back and she dumped me, what happened was she said she was hoping that when she met me, it would rekindle her love for me. But unfortunately, it didn't. And so she decided to, you know, call the relationship off. Um, and that really made me, um, well, it made me upset. But I was confused because I was like, what do you mean you don't love me anymore? Right? Like, what do you mean? Like, you don't love me anymore? How do you, how is that a thing? You know? And, and I asked her like, well, you care about me, right? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, well, and you know, and like, so you love me. And she's like, well, I just don't feel the way I used to feel about you, is what she ended up saying.
Mm.
She said, I don't like when our relationship started, I felt differently and I don't feel that anymore. So I guess I don't love you anymore. And then I was like, okay. And that was that. Um, Now she's not wrong. Um, that is what she was feeling. But the thing is love is obviously more than that. Love is going beyond feelings.
Mhm.
In any relationship, no matter what it is, whether it's a friendship or even someone you hate or someone you love, your emotions aren't consistent.
Mhm.
Emotions aren't truth. They aren't unwavering. They are constantly wavering. And
Mhm.
in a romantic relationship, or you know, something especially like a romantic relationship, you have your emotions are really intense, but they also slowly decrease over time. Um, and with enough time, you no longer feel as strongly as you used to. And so when she said, you know, I guess I just don't love you anymore, she was kind of wrong. Um, she she wasn't in love with me anymore, is what it was. She still loved me. She wanted the best for me, and maybe she didn't want to be with me for, you know, for the rest of her life, and that's fair. But it doesn't mean she didn't love me, because I'm thinking about love in a different sense,
Mhm.
not an emotional high. See, a lot of times we just have that emotional high and we say, this is love. It makes me feel good. Um, and therefore, it's a good thing. And therefore, it must be love. Well, that's not exactly true. You know, we have many things in our life that feel bad and they're good things. And there are some things that feel good and they're not good things.
Mhm.
We get to make it what we will. We get to decide whether they're good or bad a lot of times based on how we react to them, and what we choose to do off of those things. But there are situations where having that in love feeling is a terrible thing. Because, like, for example, let's say you're married and then you find yourself having emotional feelings, like high, strong emotional feelings for somebody that you are not married to. You're married to another person and then you're having emotions about this person at work or whatever. That's not good.
Mhm.
Does that mean that you've sinned? That you've done a terrible thing? No, those are just emotions. What you decide to do with them decides whether it's a bad thing or not. And when you have those feelings, you in that scenario, you're like, well, those feelings are not good for me. I don't want to have those feelings. And so then you work towards the end of getting rid of those feelings.
Mhm.
When life is really hard and we're depressed, a lot of times we cling to those feelings. I know that I've done that before. I remember when I, you know, was depressed and I would fall in love with a girl at the drop of a hat, just because, you know, oh my gosh, she said something nice to me. That made me feel
Mhm.
good. I really like her.
Yeah.
um, you know, our our mind wants something good to make us happy. And so when something comes along and it makes us feel that emotional high, um, that feeling becomes addicting. And that feeling can drive us and make us
Mhm.
think, this is what I want. I want this to continue forever. Well, it's better to say, I went through that experience and I learned a lot through it, but now I can move on. It's better to have the idea that you can move on from it and increase yourself from it, rather than worry about keeping the relationship stable or keeping a relationship where it's at. And yes, I interact. That's right. um, but yeah, I mean, that's the way it is. And that's okay. It's okay for relationships to move on. It's okay for them to develop and fizzle out. Um, Again, you just have to be thankful for the time that you had. And it doesn't mean that it was in vain at all. A relationship, I mean, we talked about this before, the relationship, wherever that takes you, changes you for the rest of your life. And that's a beautiful thing. There's nothing in vain with that. That's awesome. Even if you don't talk to the person and you haven't talked to the person in years or decades, like still, like that was a beautiful thing. And it continues to be a beautiful thing in your life. Um, so yeah, I just want to let you know, like, that's okay. It seems to me what's happening is something that completely natural and normal, and that is she's moving on. Um, not not necessarily out of desire to do that, but maybe. Um, but it's very natural for our emotions to slowly fade, um, and lose interest in things. Very natural for us to lose interest. Very natural for that emotional high to disappear because that emotional high can't stay around forever. It
Mhm.
just can't. And it's not supposed to. It's a beautiful thing. It helps us get into relationships. But then a lot of times what happens is people fall in love with each other and then they get in the relationship, then they get married, and then like half a year later, the emotions fade, and then they're stuck living with each other and they don't know how to love the other person without that emotional backing. And then they get a divorce
Mm.
because they're like, I guess I just don't love her anymore. I don't know why, but I just don't love her anymore, and she frustrates me, and I don't want to be around her anymore, and so we're getting divorced. She just makes me angry all the time. Like, and I have this guilt in my heart, like, like there's something wrong with me because I couldn't keep the relationship, and I don't know why, but I don't love her anymore, and feels terrible.
Mhm.
Um, I understand that, but I think the most important thing is love is not an emotion, and that's the problem. I think in our society today, we feel that emotion. We think that's love, but that's not love. That's an emotional high. That's an obsession.
Mm.
And that's okay. I don't mean to say obsession like it's a bad thing. It's a good thing, but it's not meant to be around forever because at some point in a relationship, that has to take second seat to your devotion. You know, when you say like "I love you," it's like, hey, I love you even when I don't have a single happy emotion. I love you when there is no emotional attachment.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's where you want to get. So you have to go through that in every relationship. Every relationship at some point, and has its ups and downs emotionally. But the emotions don't decide your commitment. The emotions don't decide uh, whether you keep your devotion to that person or not. Um,
Mhm.
so it's a good thing that they fade. It helps us make the relationship stronger. But anyways, yeah, love is a chemical reaction. Yeah, the emotional high is absolutely a chemical reaction.
Mhm.
Um,
The in love feeling
yeah, that in
is,
love feeling.
yes, that
Yep.
is a chemical reaction for sure.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
it's good to recognize it as such.
Hmm. Right. Um, and they call that I forget the name of it. There's two chemicals involved there. I can't remember either one of them. Um,
Dopamine and serotonin, maybe? I don't know.
yeah, serotonin and dopamine. Yeah, both of them react with each other. Yeah, a whole lot of dopamine and serotonin. Serotonin is also called the chemical of love. But yeah, you're right. Those are chemical reactions. Those aren't decisions.
Mhm.
Those are just
Right,
chemical reactions, right? And
right.
that's a main difference. Now, this person, they're still hanging out with you, even though they no longer really feel that feeling. Isn't that awesome? That's really awesome. Don't you think so, Amira? I mean, this person, they don't feel that emotional obsession, or they don't feel that emotional pull to hang out with you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But they still do that. They still hang out with you. Isn't that awesome? That is awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I just want to let you know, like, hey, it's okay for things to move this direction. And it's very normal. And a lot of people, everybody goes through it, actually. But yeah, it's not a bad thing. So I just want to try to reframe your mind around it and just say, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's okay that this is moving in this direction. This is where I was supposed to move all along, right? If you guys decided you didn't want to have a relationship, well, this is where it was gonna end anyways, you know. But I understand that heartache. That heartache is okay. That heartache will be there, but it'll go away. Um, and I can understand that heartache of like, but I still kind of want her, but she doesn't seem to want me anymore. Like, whenever you feel that, just kind of toss it to the side and say, yeah, but things are moving forward now. This is good.
Mm-hmm.
This is for the better. Even though it hurts a little bit, it's for the better. I mean, anything that's worth anything is usually hard. And yeah, so hopefully that'll change your perspective on it a little bit. Thanks for sharing the story. I really appreciate that. I'm going to hand it over to Joe and let him do his magic.
Magic. I don't know. I don't know about magic. And yes, Amira, I did see you type more stuff up here. So Amira says that we hung out on Friday and I tried to talk to her about how I felt, but I couldn't. One of two things kept happening. I either kept complaining about something unrelated or I froze and lost my voice. Yeah, this is pretty normal response when you're unsure about what's going to happen. You know, there's fear that blocks you from taking the action you want to take, and you know it's a normal response to have in the situation you're going in, for sure, you're going through. And then she says she's mad at me right now, by the way, and I honestly don't know why. I tried asking her, but no response. I feel like I'm being eaten alive by my emotions toward her. When you said that, I'm super glad that Ryan went through what he went through. I would definitely go back and listen to what Ryan would have to say. She says the reason we decided not to date is because of the emotional baggage we both carry. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good to know that.
Actually, very logical, and
yep,
I'm glad.
That's a very smart decision because yes, bringing that together in a relationship would be very difficult. And it would it would cause a lot of challenges. With what Ryan talked about with emotions and feelings, that is such an important thing to grasp. And feelings are just feelings, like you said yourself. They're chemical reactions in our brain. They are responses that we feel, and feelings are fleeting. They're fleeting experiences. They pass. The fear you feel passes. The in love dopamine, serotonin rush that you feel, that passes. Pain passes. Heartache passes. You know, all things pass. And your feelings are no different. And Science Rocks said a couple of important things too. He said, you don't get married for a few years. Make sure you can put up with the other person's normal, non-romantic attitude before you marry them. And that's absolutely true, because I heard a really old guy.
A really old guy?
A really old guy.
It must have been me.
He's actually dead now, so it wasn't you.
It was me.
It was a guy named Charlie Jones. And he did a talk, and he talked about marriage, and he said, you know, this now we're talking about marriage, and this isn't necessarily addressing marriage, but I just wanted to tell you with regard to the in love feeling, the thing that he's talking about here is he says, you know, when you're married, you fall in love and then you fall out of love and you can't remember why you fell in love, and then you fall back in love and you can't remember why you fell out. And then you fall back out of love and you can't remember why you fell back in love again. And then it just goes in that cycle over and over and over again throughout your marriage. You're going to go through that time and time again. I remember telling a buddy of mine about that. He had been married for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, and he was facing some challenges with his wife. And I told him about that, and it just blew his mind, because our culture is so, we think we get this idea in our brains that, you know, the in love feeling is supposed to last for our whole lives as we're married to this person.
Happily ever after doesn't mean mean pleasant, you know, like that.
Yeah, it's not, right. And Charlie Jones, what he was saying, you know, you go through that experience a dozen times and you realize that the secret to marriage isn't love, it's commitment. It's just boom, being absolutely committed. So it's a good thing in this case because you have the emotional baggage, and that can cause a conflict, and you have these feelings that are kind of roller coastery right now. It seems like it might be. It's a good thing that you haven't made some kind of relationship commitment, because that would make things even more difficult. Now, so what do you do now that you're armed with this knowledge about feelings, and you understand that feelings are fleeting and they pass away, and you know, this roller coaster is going to happen? What do you do with that?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because I know it's one thing to know all this stuff, you know, in theory, and it's one thing to understand what's going on in your feelings, and that's important to know because it's going to help you manage yourself as you go through this process. But action steps you can take. There's a simple proverb that sounds so cliche, and I'm sure we've all heard it a bazillion times, but it's the one that says, "If you love someone, set them free. If they come back, it was meant to be." Have you heard it, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you love someone, set them free. If they come back, it was meant to be. And sometimes, as hard as that is, that's the appropriate action. Because you're being driven crazy by your feelings right now, Amira. You even said so in a post. You said your emotions are, you're being eaten alive by your emotions toward her. And they are not being, you know, your emotions are not being responded to in a way that's conducive to this situation. Oh, Princess says, if you love them, let them go. If they come back, then you know. Yep, that's true too. It's kind of a restatement. But let me tell you a little story. There was a time when it seemed like in my marriage this was going on, where I was trying super hard to love my wife and do everything I could, and she just seemed like she was angry all the time at me. I didn't know why, but you know, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter why. There was just this bad blood going on there, and I was trying really hard. And you know, one of the things, you know, and we were married. So it's like, so we made the commitment, right? So we're there together, and that's it, you know? And so anyway, what helped make this better was when I stopped trying so hard. And I started looking at things as they were. I started looking at things logically. And I just started calling a spade a spade. And if she was acting inappropriately, I called her out on it. And that might seem disrespectful. But in response to what was going on, that was appropriate. And you know what happened? It made things a lot easier. A mutual respect developed out of that, where we respect each other. And we're committed, we have 2 children, we want to raise them, well as we possibly can throughout whatever situations we go through. But if you're getting sucked into this trap of you're feeling this loving emotion and you're trying to throw as much at this situation as you can, and it's just falling on deaf ears and no response whatsoever, and you're getting met with anger, then one of the best things you can possibly do, in my opinion, and from my experience, is don't lie to yourself about it. And if you're asking why she's mad and she's not telling you, that's pretty disrespectful. Like, seriously, let's talk about this. Let's get to the bottom of it. If the other person is unwilling to work with you to get to the bottom of it, then that's their fault. You're doing what you can to try, and they're not responding. So in that sense, it's like, hey, I'm doing everything I can to try here. I'm trying to fix this. I'm trying to do what I can. You're not doing anything to come back. What is going on? And if you're stuck in that trap, it's a very unhealthy situation for you, because you're going to keep throwing stuff at this, and it's probably going to just make things worse. So in this situation, what you're going through, obviously I can't make your decisions for you, Amira. And I will also tell you that for me to come to the conclusion that I needed to do what I did took a long time. Long time of me doing it wrong, for years of doing it wrong, of trying really hard and getting met with resentment. And I wished I'd have figured it out sooner, but I didn't. And in a way, even though we didn't break up our marriage, I let her go. I let her go in a way that was like, I was no longer obsessed with keeping things together. I was no longer obsessed with trying to make things right. It was like, wait a second. I've been trying as hard as I possibly can. I'm getting no response. That is wrong. And it's not like I'm going to stop loving her. It's not like I'm going to stop being committed to our marriage. It's that I'm going to call a spade, and I'm going to say, hey, we need to either work this out or figure something out, because what you're doing here, you're not even responding. What's going on here? If there's something I'm doing wrong, tell me what I'm doing wrong. And if you're not willing to tell me what I'm doing wrong, then I'm just going to assume I'm not doing anything wrong, because you're not telling me. So I know that sounds really harsh and really weird, but one thing you can do in this situation, now that I'm coming full circle to like what you can do, let her go. Your emotions are eating you alive. It's unhealthy for you. You can let go. The feelings will be difficult at first, but they'll pass. Take all that pain, all that emotion, all that hurt that's going on right now, and throw it into something creative. Create something. I don't know if you write, draw, make music, if you do something, even if if you're a techie person, there's something that you do, that you create. Cooking, maybe. I don't know. Everybody's got different creative mechanisms in their life. Take what you love creating. There's something in your life that either, okay, sorry, you're a story writer.
That was right. I was about to say, I wasn't like, what, doesn't she write stories? But I didn't want to say, because I didn't want to be wrong.
Oh, fantastic. That's excellent. Take that emotion and create the best stories you've ever made. Because through emotional pain, through that emotional heartache, I know for me personally, when I'm going through the most emotionally challenging times is when I write the best music that I've ever written in my life. The best material comes out of that experience. So take all that and throw yourself into something else that doesn't involve her. Because your emotions need a break from this. I mean, it's just been, you've been working so hard emotionally in this situation, and there's no response. And now that you understand feelings as Ryan has explained them, which is absolutely 100% accurate, what Ryan was explaining, you know that. And so you can keep that deep in your, you can keep that in your head. That is just feelings. They come and they go, but they can be used to your benefit. They can be used for you to create something beautiful. They can be used for you to write some amazingly beautiful stories. Amira says, I guess there's no saving what's already dying. Not necessarily, like science says. However, the emotional obsession that you're feeling is killing it. So that emotional, like that feeling you have, that eating you alive feeling that you have, that is going to do more damage than good to this situation. So that's why I'm saying it's good. It'd be good to take some time off and love her from a distance. Love her the way love really is. I think like true love is not emotional at all. True love is a choice. The in love feeling is a chemical reaction, yes, but actual love itself is the choice to desire the best for another person and to work for that. And the best for both of you is to heal. You've got emotional baggage, both of you. There needs to be some healing. Pray for each other's healing. If you're a praying person. And I mean, but I'll tell you, what you're going through is so tough. I know I've been there before. Well, maybe not exactly here, but I've felt the same feelings that you're feeling. And it's a dark place, but they are only feelings, and they can be great tools for creating something amazing. And I'll tell you, you will always find love here with us because we love you no matter what. And we care about you and we accept you no matter what. Whatever decision you make, we're going to love you and we're going to want the best for you. We're going to try and do whatever we can to make you feel better if we can, and also point you to the reality of what's going on. The reality is, these are feelings. You guys are not in the same place emotionally with regard to this friendship that you're having. And that's a very tough spot to be in, I know. But it's also rare to have two people on the same page emotionally.
That's true.
Amira says, can you fix my broken soul? In my opinion, God's the only one that can do that.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan before I get too crazy.
Yeah. Do you mean your broken soul, like your actual soul, or do you mean your emotions? Soul, yeah. We don't have power over our souls, over their state of being. We have power over our bodies, and we have power over our minds.
Mhm.
But as far as our soul goes, yeah, that's a different realm. So you gotta just kind of, I mean, they exist within the realm that we live in right now, but yeah, God is definitely has a little bit more dominion than uh, than me, either I or Joe.
Mhm.
Um,
But when it comes to the feelings, though, you can fix those, or they can be fixed by
mhm,
you.
right,
Like
but
just science just said it. Just said what I was thinking. You don't need
you
to
don't
have
have,
someone else fix it.
yep, you don't need to have someone else fix it. You can do that yourself. You're more than strong enough. Thanks, science. That's true. Um, one thing sometimes in life, I look at things and I just have to admit what it is. You know,
Mm.
um, when I notice, oh wow, I'm just being emotional about this. Like this, or I have an idea and I like the idea and I like the idea for the reasons I like it, but it doesn't make it the best idea. You know, um, and sometimes I just have to let go of my emotions and allow things to be things, um, regardless of what my emotions are. And admitting that helps those emotions go away.
Mm.
So, like for an example, let's say I'm working on a project and I have my way of doing things, and someone comes along and they want to do something else. Um, and let's say for some reason I'm emotionally attached to the idea I have. Um, and so I don't like their idea as much because it contradicts my idea, right? Um, what do I do in that scenario? I found the best thing to do is let it go, is just to admit to myself that, hey, the reason you want this idea is because this is what you're used to. This is, this makes sense to you, but that doesn't mean the other one's not a good idea. So give the other idea a chance, right? I just have a talk with myself. I admit to myself that I'm being silly. I'm being human, but
Mhm.
that I'm not necessarily right about it or wrong about it, but rather that I'm choosing to do the thing I want to do because I want to do it. A lot of times admitting that to myself that I'm choosing to do the things I want to do because I want to do it, because I want it. Admitting that selfishness changes how well I can react later, or how quickly I can diffuse those emotions. So um, that might be my best advice to you is look at yourself and honestly admit, like, hey, you're just being selfish, and that's okay to say that. All right, that doesn't mean you're picking on yourself. It
Mm-mm.
doesn't mean you have to be a jerk to yourself. Don't get all bruised up and uh, you know, feel like you have to sit in your room and cry or whatever. Like, don't beat yourself up over it. But it's okay to admit that you are being selfish and then move on from that.
Mm.
Um, because I know in my life, a lot of times, what's moved me on in almost every scenario the most, whenever I've done something wrong, is to admit that I was being selfish to myself. That has moved me on from so many of my issues. I say, like, the one thing that probably has moved me on from one issue to the next the most, or sorry, moved me over the walls. Like you have so many issues in life, and they're just like walls that stand in your way. One of the biggest things that breaks down all of those walls for me is just admitting to myself that I was being selfish.
Mm.
And as soon as I do that, my mind flips the switch and I start heading in the right direction. Because then my mind is focused no longer on, my mind becomes focused on, hey, you are being selfish. What can you do to get over it? My mind starts being in proactive mode about fixing it, and, you know, because here's the thing. let the past be the past. You can't change it.
Hmm.
The past is the past. It matters, but it also doesn't. Rather, the past matters, but the past doesn't determine your destination. What you do right now is what's going to determine your destination.
Hmm.
We all have our baggage. We all have our issues. We all have the things that we carry with us around, things that happened to us in the past. Sure. We've all got things like that. But the faster you can just accept, the faster you can love yourself, not accept yourself, faster you can love yourself. Because, you don't want to accept yourself. Accepting yourself means you're just okay with being an emotional wreck. Because that's not going to solve anything. That doesn't make us happy. I don't mean you, by the way. I mean me. And you. I mean the whole
every one of us. I'm
not pointing the finger at you, Amir, and saying you're an emotional wreck. I'm pointing the finger at everybody that's ever lived and saying we're an emotional wreck. And I know this because I've seen children, and I've seen every one of them be an emotional wreck.
Yes.
Every day. Like something easy, like nothing happens and an emotional wreck happens. Like my toy got lost under the couch. And it's like, dude, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Not a big deal, right? But everything's a big deal. Everything feels like it's a big deal, right? We're all an emotional wreck, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. We get better. We get better. We get wiser. We get stronger. We condition our emotions based on how we react when those emotions hit us next. And so right now you're in a period of conditioning. You are in a period of strengthening. Your emotions are tough. They're tough to deal with. I've been there. They're tough to deal with. You're in no easy position, but you can get through it, and you will get through it. It's just how fast are you going to get through it? That's the only question. Because you're going to get through it. You're going to get through this, Amira. It's just a matter of how fast. And for me, I think the fastest way that I know of is to just admit that I was being selfish. Because a lot of times when I have an emotional issue, it's because I'm being selfish. A lot of times when those emotions are eating me alive, when those emotions don't agree with myself, like they don't make me feel good, a lot of times it's because I'm being selfish. Because I want something. Because I want what I want. Right? I want my emotions to make me feel good. That's dumb. That's a problem, right? We are humans, so I think we all think this. I want my emotions to make me feel good. Not going to happen very often. And it stinks, but that's just true. Your emotions aren't going to make you feel good. Your emotions are reactions to things. And if you're reacting to your own emotions, then you're caught in a loop, and the loop isn't going to solve itself. I don't know if you've ever done programming, but if you put the computer in a loop, it just loops. It doesn't end. It doesn't solve itself. A reaction causes a reaction, which causes the same reaction, which causes the same reaction, which causes this. It's not going to fix anything. So don't fall into that trap. I know I've been in that trap. I think we've all been in that trap before. Everyone in this chat room can relate to this whole thing, right? Everyone in this chat has totally been through emotions like this. Infinite loop smoke S. Yeah, usually most programming compilers now don't. They give you an error as soon as it finds a loop. It's like, yeah, we don't want to cause the computer to crash, so this is an error, and it's not going to be good. It's great. Anyhow, regardless. So, yeah, and for me, again, the fastest thing is admitting to myself just what it is. Just like Joe was saying earlier, just calling a spade what it is, calling a spade a spade. When he was, talking about his wife and just saying, that's wrong and I got to do the right thing. But we also have to do that to ourselves. And don't take any shame in that. Take pride in that. That's a good thing. It's a good thing you can hold the bar high on yourself. That's good.
Yes. I should add there that I call myself out way more than I call other people out.
Absolutely. That's the person you got to call out the most is yourself, because that's the person you have to keep in check. It's really the person you're responsible for until you have children, and then you're responsible for them for a time.
Yes.
But
well, it's interesting though, because Ryan said
responsibility for yourself in order to be responsible of them.
Yeah. No, Ryan, you said that whole thing about being selfish, and sometimes you just tell yourself, "Hey, I'm being selfish," and then it goes away.
Yeah, and then
I did that while you were talking about that. Right after you talked about that, I noticed an area of my life. I was like, "Oh wait, I'm just being selfish." And then as soon as I said that to myself, I'm like, "Huh,
yeah,
I don't have to be selfish."
Yeah, that's so true.
And that was just like this immediate relief, this immediate peace, like this kind of. I'm like, oh.
The humbling experience of just, I'm just being selfish about that, or I was being selfish, or whatever. It's like, oh, I can do better. Whoa, how easy and refreshing that is to be able to tell yourself, oh, well, that's all it is. I can do better. I'm just being selfish. Huh? So, Amira, I encourage you to let yourself know that you're being selfish. And that's
in those moments when you are. In
those moments where you are.
Don't falsely accuse yourself.
Yeah, don't be mean. I don't mean to say be a jerk to yourself. I don't mean to say point out all of your mistakes and feel bad about them. Not at all. Again, your past is in the past. Your mistakes are your mistakes. Like, don't give them credit. Don't give them
matter.
Don't give them strength over how you feel about yourself. Don't hold yourself like you look at a person and you can't grade them based off of their mistakes. Right? Don't grade yourself based off of your mistakes. That's terrible, right? So don't call yourself out trying to be a jerk. Don't be a jerk to yourself. If you notice yourself being negative towards yourself, stop it. But when it comes to just like the line that I was saying, just calling yourself out and being like, oh, I'm just being selfish about that. That's an invitation to show yourself, oh, I got this now. Like, oh, I'm actually, I can do this. I'm strong. Like, even though that's weird, maybe, that's the way it is. But anyhow, yeah, I hope that helps. I really do. I really do. Emotions are an interesting thing, but our emotions don't make us feel good, especially when they're stuck in a loop or they're just, a lot of times, it's a human condition. But yeah. Anyways, Amira, we love you. And thank you so much for sharing. And I hope that some of this helps. Am I a parent? No. I am not a parent, but I'm a godfather of 4 children. The 5th one I'm not a godparent of, but that's okay. I'm still Gianna's uncle. I lived with the kids for many years, helped take care of them and stuff like that. So saw them on a daily basis, etc. So I know what kids are like.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. Kids are fun.
Yep.
And then they grow up, and they grow up to be like bigger little kids, and you teach them how to fight, and then they beat you up.
Ooh, yeah. I don't know if everyone does that, Joe.
Oh yeah. It was funny. We were at a doctor's the other day, my wife and I, and they were talking about. I don't remember how we got on this topic, but she was talking about. Oh, she said to them, I just want to do kickboxing again because she's going through a healing process after surgery, and it's taken longer than she wants it to. And she's like, I just want to do kickboxing again. And like, oh, you do kickboxing, you're fight, but you don't hit him though, do you? Like that. She's like,
Oh yeah.
well, if he says something stupid, and I was like, yeah. And they looked at me, and they looked at her, and I said, we're a martial arts family. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense. So yes.
Yeah. She's like, you let her hit you? Like
Yeah.
that's
I am the punching bag.
That's right.
And
We're
it's
all
a
the
good
punching
and so I just look at it this
It's
way.
okay.
It makes me tough.
I
If I
used
got
to offer people to punch me.
Oh, really?
Sorry, but I didn't mean to interrupt. Go on.
Yeah, now you're about to offer me to punch you.
Yeah, go for it. You virtually punch me. I'll virtually feel it.
Virtually.
Oh,
I didn't actually.
ow.
Princess, yes, we are wrapping up now. Amira, thank you again. And you're not a hopeless lost cause. If you were a hopeless lost cause, we wouldn't take our time to try and help you.
That's true.
It's not that you're a lost cause, it's just you're in a tough spot. And it's going to pass, and you're going to be all right. And I can't wait to see what creative stuff comes from this experience that you have. So we absolutely love you, and we're so glad that you took the time to post. So, hey, Kuseki.
Kuseki, I love you, man. It's been
A long time.
ever and ever and ever. Dude.
A long time. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Wait, what did I do? Cherry. I don't know what you did, Cherry.
Kendra, I am so sorry for holding you back. I am going to respond to that again just after this stream ends. And hopefully you can get your paper done on time quickly. Hopefully you don't need too much of my response. So anyhow.
Yes. So anyway, yep, we're just to that point in the stream where it's time to shut her down for now. So Science, you have one for us to handle, and Cherry, you have one for us to handle. We will get to those on Friday if you are here. And also we've got a new one from, looks like Joseph Bohan in here as well. So you guys, thank you for being here, and thank you for posting. And I'm sorry we did not get to your topics tonight, but come back on Friday, and we will do what we can.
Thank you so much, guys.
Cherry, I love saying your name.
When people say it, Cherry. Cherry. I'm just trying to make you feel loved. Cherry. Oh, Cherry. Okay. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. We love you, and we hope you have a wonderful night.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.